Hello and welcome to day 83 of MP Strong 365. This is my chair. So, I never had an office chair. In fact, I never ever worked in an office. And then I worked in an office part-time, hybrid schedule they call it, for about 3 months, and then I lost my mind and I quit my job. The only thing I've really ever quit, especially a job, the highest paying job I've ever had, PS, not good. So this job, which that's a story for another day about why I work in the work that I do, which is computer work during the day. This job, I get to have the wiggles, get my job done, and I bought my very first office chair. So without the accoutrement, these chairs are available. If you Google ADHD chair, then you will find these fantastic, easy to assemble devices. So the chair comes, I go to test drive it, right? In our cars, people have all sorts of weird stuff in their cars, like pillows and seat covers and all this stuff. So I'm like, all right, how is this working with me and my limbs ergonomically? So I'm gonna show you how not to sit in the chair, which is I usually don't sit like this. What will support me throughout the day, what will allow me to change positions throughout the day. And I do spend some time sitting, especially if I'm not in meetings and I gotta use my noggin. I have a hard time constructing documents when I'm standing at the desk sometimes. So PS, when I am standing at the desk, let's pretend this is my desk. I throw these pads on the floor and I usually stack them. And then I will stand on my pads. Oh, and I don't have my foot roller here, but, oh shoot, where is my roller and my ball? But yeah, so I have my roller underneath, let's say I had a dumbbell, right? You can put it kind of here, and then I'll stand with my foot on that, and then I type at the keyboard, and then I can do little foot raises or whatever on my standing, adjustable standing desk, which I think actually matches the color of this chair, which was totally unintentional because I'm not that cool. Okay, so to the chair. Really, this is a lesson about how to sit differently. So let's pretend I'm in a normal office chair, like the one that's off to the right that I'm not gonna pull over. But let's say I have my chair here. This is about chair height. This would be a fantastic chair, actually. I might sit like this. So they say in the classic ergonomic classes that you are supposed to sit with your spine upright and your feet planted on the floor, and you want a 90-degree bend in the knees. And what if they had everything was set up like this? P.S. My whole house is like yoga mats because I like squishy things underneath my toes. And so you're supposed to sit like this, and then you're supposed to have your hand on the keyboard, and you're supposed to do this all day. Yeah, right? So let's say you are like that, okay? How can you enhance this situation? Let's say you're stuck in a plane chair. I have a workout called plane games. Actually, this is a pretty decent back support too if I want to lean back into here. So if I'm just sitting in a chair, any old chair, and I lean back like this, I really do a reverse sit-up, right? So I can capture those top abs and the sideline abs just by intentionally sitting slightly back and sitting slightly forward, not allowing my spine to overly curve in any way, feeling those abs cut on as I sit back. In fact, in Pilates, they do these kinds of motions all the time for core work. So you can pump your arms around and whatever. Another way to do it is reach, Monica. Okay, put a band, make yourself the desk bandit. So put a band, I'm all about the resistance bands, around your calves or maybe your knees, and you can have the band just pushing slightly out on those legs. What that does is just keep a little bit more musculature active through the hips as you're sitting in your regular chair. Got one more for you. If you're sitting down and, if you're sitting regular, I'm debating on this one. You could put an object, so let's say a pillow, in between your knees. And what that does is really help focus on those deep hip flexors, literally just getting blood flow. They're not actually doing anything, but it will help prevent that like iceberg, what do they call those prehistoric rocks? Fossilized hip flexor that we end up getting as a result of chronic sitting. So having this little object between the legs, you can lightly squeeze it. And if you notice you lose the object, your legs have gone flaccid and you have more of that just like fossilized hip flexor. So be the chair bandit. Do a little object squeeze if you're sitting normal. Okay, you didn't know there's so many ways to sit now, did you? So, okay, I'm gonna move to the top of my seat now. So my traditional position when I'm at night is I leave this pad in fitness land, and then these two pads go on the lower part because I'm situating it the best way possible for the length of my bones. So you could have different heights. I noticed the heights just weren't quite, and even if I lift and lower that thing down, it doesn't help. The other thing that I do is I've got this neck pillow, right, that we use in the planes, but it's like one of those, butt seats that like when you break your tailbone, they have you sit on a squishy butt seat or like a bedpan. So I put it either under my butt or on my back. So, and then if I want some extra, I'll put this pillow up, or I'll have something off to the side and I put the pillow on like here, and that way I can kick my other leg up on that. And then I have another pillow which I can place like rolled up underneath my lower back for lumbar support. Probably even if I spend a few more bucks on another type of chair, like I don't think I wouldn't just end up messing with it anyway until I get like a custom chair made just for me. I would just sit on the floor, but I've got a triple screen, like a display screen. So in any case, okay, so I'm up here, right, and I've got my desk is at a correct height. I feel like this is like tall for me. But then I put the pads so that they're almost one's hanging off the front and one's on the back. And then I can put my pillow like here, and then I'll sit, and then I kind of scooch back in the seat, and either like this pillow is behind me, maybe this is like underneath one leg, kind of like propping it up or like kind of creating this little hamstring lift up. So I can like cross feet, I can do this. I can also like put my leg off to the side. Then when I feel like my back needs a little extra support, so this is more of a legs extended, like you don't get stuck up in those the same length anywhere. The concept here is variety, right? Change positions and force yourself to change it up just a little bit. So then I'll have something on my lower back, like my little bedpan cushion here, and I put that there, and then I will sometimes put my legs up like this, and I'll squeeze the pad in between my feet, and so I'm seated forward like this, and then I'll add some extra support to my back, so I'm really able to like push back and forth into that pad and apply pressure. Okay, so turn from the side. I look kind of like this or like this, and I'll release the pillow because it's too much. And then I have this back support. My legs are slightly off here, and I'm able to kind of sit cozy there. Now I like don't want to sit tonight because it's gonna like make me sad because I already did it. Okay, here's the other one. I don't like sitting. So this way is, and then I can swivel the bottom part around. This does like full swivel factor. Okay, so this way and maybe I'll like either have the pillow or release the pillow. You have your legs underneath you, and then I'll probably put like a ball under my butt or something like that, and then I can sit in my kneeling position. These are knees very bent. This is like kind of a quad stretch. So if you lean back in a chair like this and then come out of that seat, then you get a little bit of that quad stretch. You can push your knees down as you rise up, and you'll get that nice quad stretch. You're not going to stay here too terribly long at any given time. So what do I do next? Well, I'm glad you asked. So I'll release the pad, and I'll go a little bit lower, and then I'll put something to bolster my butt. What does this remind you of, right? They have you sit either if you're like meditating or if you're doing yoga, they'll have you sit like this. So I just sit like this at the keyboard. Okay, so that's the next position. The next position is going to be, this feels weird. It's like, you know when you see something out of context and it like doesn't compute? Like this like feels so awful to me right now because I've like, I've adulterated fitness land with this horrible office chair, but that's okay. So the next position I do is I will come into a half butterfly. So I'll either put this leg forward and this leg out to the side, or I'll cup it like backwards behind like that, and I'll sit like this. So this, I hope you're taking notes, stretches out the outside of the hip a little bit, and my other leg's just kind of off out of the way. And again, you can always have enough stuff behind your back to support your back, but I want to kind of lean into this hip stretch here. And then I create almost, they call this like a pinwheel, with the back leg is sort of almost like, if you look down, it almost looks like a little pinwheel shape. So this one's good for the hip flexor. And the final one that I do is I'll flip this puppy off to the side, whoop, and then I sit like this, like either with my leg like that, stretching the inner thigh, right? So it can go like that. And then maybe I'll put my leg up here so I'm stretching my hamstring. I get my inner thigh, or I'll leave it down with like pads underneath my foot, or I have a vibrating plate that like will wiggle my foot for me. So I can get the stretch here. I can also put the leg down like such. And this should remind you of a kneeling hip flexor stretch, or like in yoga, you know, they have the where you lay down or you do a half kneel and then you lean forward into that stretch. So that's kind of like this. I can get that back hip flexor to stretch out a little bit, and I can cue on that side glute. So thus concludes the 1,000 ways to sit in this awesome chair that swivels every direction. And, you know, if you're going to have a chair, I almost fell off it, you might as well pick one with a variety of different positions, and get over yourself if you think it looks silly, because you gonna look silly if you're walking around looking like Cousin It Lurch. Does Cousin It have bad posture? You know, something with bad posture. So anyway, happy Memorial Day weekend, day 83, what did I just say, of MP Strong 365, and I will see you after day 1 of scuba certification tomorrow or whenever I come back. Goodbye.